Golden Acre. Today I'm going to be showing you how to deal with a string of lights that you have out on your tree. Yeah, let's get to it. So the first thing you want to do is find your junction. The reason you want to find your junction is because you want to isolate this string of lights to see if maybe before you start checking all of your lights, if it's actually the plug that's the problem. So when you see your junction here, they're usually all taped up to keep everything together. So being very careful that you're not going to be cutting any of your wires. You want to cut through here. For some people it might be easier if you used a pair of scissors. And there we go. So now you have access to all of your plugs. So now basically it's just work your way through one at a time, unplug, and have a look around. That string of lights went out, so I know it's not this one. That string of lights went out, so I know it's not this one. So those guys can stay plugged in. The reason that I like to keep them plugged in is because you want all of the lights that you're not working on to be lit up so that you know exactly what string you're working on. Because if you have a look, you'll see that some are lit where other ones aren't, and they kind of overlap a bit. So I'm going to continue through here. Let's check this line. Oh, that might be it. Nope, that one went out there. So this one can stay plugged in. And let's check these other two. Yeah, lights went out, so that means it's going to be this guy here. Okay, so because that one's plugged directly in, I would know that it's not one of these plugs that's the problem. I plug this guy back in there, and that lights back up. So it's getting power to it. So what that makes me believe is that it's just one bulb in there that's loose enough that it's stopping the flow of electricity to go through and light up all of the bulbs. So now I will show you how we go through this string and the easiest way to check everything that you have to hopefully get it fixed in your first go. All right. So now that we know that it's not the plug that's the problem, like I was saying, it's probably just a loose bulb through here or a wire that is bent around the side. I'll show you some photos of what you're going to be looking for when you're going through each one of these bulbs. So now what I do is I call it leapfrog, because you're going to, rather than doing a new bulb for every single socket, you're going to be using each one through, because majority of the time it's just one connection, and you can find that by just moving the bulbs through the line. So I'm going to grab a new bulb here, and I singled out this line to make sure that that was the one that goes to this. Now this is generally wrapped around the branches a little bit. I unraveled it just so that I can show you easier that I'm following this line. And you may want to do that because sometimes it makes it easier for you to make it to where the line is that you're working on. So I'm going to go through here and I'm going to find my first light that's on this line. You can see right here how it splits. So one of the lines is going to go to branch number 2, and one of the lines is on branch number 1. So I'm going to work on this branch right now, and I'm going to start off with this plug, or with this bulb right here. So I'm going to pull this one out, and I'm going to look inside, and I'm going to make sure that both of the connections in there are up to the rim in the middle so that you're getting good contact. And then I'm going to check on my brand new bulb that I just grabbed that it isn't a burnt out one, and that the wires are straight down both sides so that it makes good contact. So this is my brand new bulb that I just grabbed, and I'm going to put this one in here. So then I'm going to follow that down, and I'm going to find my second light that's on this string, which is right there. And I'm going to take that bulb that I just took out of the first one, and I'm going to check that both of these wires are going straight up the sides, that it's not really black. You'll get a little bit of darkening just from the light burning over time, but it goes really black when it burns out. So I look at this one, I know that that one's good. I'm going to pull out the second one here. Again, I'm going to check inside to make sure that both of the connections are where they're supposed to be. And then I'm gonna put in my new bulb here. And then I'm gonna work my way through the string, making sure that I'm using the techniques that I was showing you guys for fluffing, because you don't wanna miss one of your lights, because, well, with my luck, that always ends up being the one that's the problem. So I don't wanna miss one while I'm going through. I just wanna get this done in my first try. So I'm gonna work my way through, moving each branch while I'm going to find the next bulb. So then here's this guy here, and I'm gonna have a look in, and my contacts are perfect. And I'm gonna look at this. Oh, awesome. So this one here, if you have a look, that wire right there is bent over the wrong way. This side is proper, this side is not. So all I'm gonna do with that one, I'm not even gonna replace it. I'm just gonna flip that wire back over so that both of them again are straight down the sides. And then I'm gonna put that in, and voila. That right there just fixed this line. Now I got lucky. That was at the very beginning. I found that one, it ended up fixing this line. Sometimes it takes you a little bit longer to go through, but I wanna tell you guys a couple other reasons why you could have a string that goes out. One of those reasons is because if you have too many bulbs go out on a string, then it can actually cause the rest of the bulbs on the string to blow because there's just too much power going to them. So that's a very good reason why you want to make sure that anytime you see a bulb that's out, you're replacing it right away, because then it's a whole lot less work for you in the long run. If I'm going through and I believe that all of them are blown because I see dark black on all of them, then what I'm gonna do is the same process as before, where I'm trying to do the leapfrog, but I'm going to double check every bulb that I pull out in a socket that I know is working. So I see that this guy right here was working. So I'm gonna take this bulb and plug it in there to see if it is actually burnt out or if I can continue to use it in the line. Don't forget to do your other steps where you're checking to make sure that your connections are good and that your wires are going around both sides while you're doing this. The more steps you do at once while you're going through, the less times you're gonna have to go through that line, and hopefully you fix it your first time going through. The other reason that you can run into a string of lights being out is when you're putting your bulbs back in, which is something I didn't tell you before, is you wanna make sure that they're pushed all the way in. This guy right here is not pushed nearly far enough in. If you have even a couple, even though this one's lit right now, if you have multiples that are like this through here, it makes for a weak connection, which can create a situation where you're blowing bulbs or just where the string goes out on you. So before I push this in, I'm always gonna pull it out, see if there's a reason that it didn't go all the way in. I'm checking both of those, and I'm looking inside here. Everything looks good, it just wasn't pushed in far enough. So now I'm gonna push it in so that it's all the way in, touching the edge there. Then I know that I have a good connection and it's not gonna shake loose on me. One other tip that I have, because you wanna make sure that you're not putting burnt out bulbs back into the tree, is anytime that I find a bulb that is actually burnt out, I'll actually pull it apart from the bottom so that they're separate, so that you have no chance of trying to use that as a good bulb again before I throw it into my container. Now, it's a good idea to have one container for burnt out bulbs, one container for your good bulbs, and make sure that you have at least a full pack of bulbs before you get into doing this, because each pack of bulbs generally has 50 and each string has 50, and you don't want to run short when you're trying to put up your tree. I hope that helped you guys with fixing lights on your tree.